Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm replacing the power steering pump on my 1981 Ford F150, and I figured as long as we're at it, why not get these brackets all cleaned up and powder coated? It'll make them last longer and look really nice under the hood. I'm gonna try to keep the video short and simple today. I'll be honest, shooting these videos makes each job take about 3 times longer than it normally should, which is why I haven't been doing as many lately. Sometimes I just got to get these jobs done and out the door. So if I could just ask you to give a like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, help me out, that'd be greatly appreciated. All right, with that said, let's get started. The first thing to do is to get the parts hung and ready for powder coating. I'm lucky to have this old ceiling fan in my shop, so I like to hang my oven rack from the fan. That way I'm able to work at shoulder level on everything before transferring it into the oven. Alright you guys, there they are, they're all hung. I wanted to save you guys the time of watching me wire brush at each one. Then each part went into the sandblaster, then got blown off with clean air in order to get prepped. I made sure to hang them all up tight to the rack so that they don't hang down too close to the element. The next step, I'll go ahead and toss them in the oven, and I'm going to pre-bake these parts. It helps off gas and it helps bake out any hidden grease or nastiness that might be in there before we spray the powder on it. If there's any contaminants in there, it'll ruin your powder coat finish, so we don't want that. It only takes 15 minutes or so at the curing temperature. Let them bake out. Then we'll pull them out, let them cool a little bit. We can hot coat these parts, which means we can hit them with the powder while they're still hot, and that'll help. That helps the powder bond to the parts. Then we'll give them a full coat, put them in the oven for full cure, and they'll be ready to go back on the vehicle. This is my dedicated powder coating oven. You can see the parts are in there. They'll be coming up to temperature. I figure about 20 minutes at 500. The powder coat cures at 450, so if we take them to 500, that'll make sure to gas out anything that might be in there. I always like to use an oven thermometer to make sure my temperatures are accurate, and I've also cross-referenced that to the dial on the oven. You can see the original temps were not accurate, so I made adjustments. I can make sure and get the temperatures really dialed in. I think that's pretty important to getting good results with your powder coat. If you get it too hot, it'll burn, it'll get bubbly. And if you don't get it hot enough, it won't cure properly. So attention to those details is important. Over here in this old closet is where I keep all my powder coating materials. I have a dedicated shelf here. I've got all my colors. I've got my respirator. This powder is ultra fine. It's always a good idea to wear a respirator when you're doing the powder coating. We've got them all in airtight jars, labeled up. You can see I've got some AMC teal, black, bright white, neon green, but for today we'll be using Ford blue. Where's the old Ford blue? Oh, there it is, of course. Always gotta have plenty of Ford blue. While those parts are pre-baking, I'll give you a quick little look here. In the bottom of the range, I keep all my supplies. Got high temperature tape for masking. I keep a little aluminum foil for wrapping and masking parts. Got all the plugs and caps you might need. You know, little bits of hanger that I've tossed in afterwards. This stainless steel wire for hanging. I got all of my bits and pieces here in one convenient location. Normally this is where the gun lives as well. I've got the gun set up here on the stand. It's the Eastwood Dual Voltage. I clamp it in this vise right here, and then it's right next to my powder coating area so that I can shoot the powder from there. The cords are not that long, so you have to be in a relatively close location for your electrodes and the activation switch. One other thing I'll mention, you notice I have quite a few air separators here, air and water separators. My old air compressor setup used to have major moisture problems. I believe this one came with the gun, and then these were just a couple extras I had laying around. And also I have installed on the gun an air pressure regulator. It is important to get the air pressure just right when you're spraying the powder so that you're not blowing it off. You're getting it to come out of the gun in a nice soft cloud that can be stuck to the part with the electromagnetism and get that good bond. Okay, the parts have finished their pre-baking cycle. After they cool off for a minute or two, I'll start hitting them with the powder. All right, it really only takes a couple minutes to get the powder on, and they're now in the oven. I've reduced the temperature to 450, which is the initial cure time. It'll be 450 for 5 minutes. After that, you'll see it's glossed out. Then you reduce it down to that 425 for an additional 20 minutes. Then you can turn it off, and the curing process is complete. As soon as they've cooled to the touch, you can go ahead and handle them and get them back on the car. Alright, a quick shot where you can see how they've gotten that glossy wet look to them. That's the initial flow out that we're looking for. Once that's completely flowed out, we can cut the temperature back and do the slow cure. Okay guys, that's it. The baking process is completed. The parts are ready to reassemble and go back on the vehicle. I'll tell you what, it might seem like powder coating is more complicated than just giving them a quick spray paint, but if you do the process right, if you're going to clean the parts and sandblast them and put primer on and a couple coats of paint, it is maybe even more work than the powder coating. It's just a single coat and then you're ready to rock and roll. And I'll tell you what, these powder coat finishes are far, far more resilient than any kind of paint job I've ever done, no matter how much time and prep and attention to detail has been taken. powder coat is just simply a superior finish, and I put it on almost every part that I put onto my vehicles. Anytime I'm doing a routine job and I have, chassis hardware or anything that is dirty and grimy that I know I'm going to need to clean and refinish before it goes back on the car, I'm going powder coat every time. It's just so much better. It's quick, it's easy, and I know that it's a one-time job. It's not going to be chipping and flaking and looking dirty down the road. It's just going to be one and done. When it gets dirty, wipe it up, clean it up, looks good as new, and that way I never have to come back and deal with it again. Well, I hope you liked this video. I won't bore you with the details of putting the power steering pump back together. I put all the nuts and bolts in my shaker over there, so they're all cleaned up, and I'll just get this thing bolted back together, and that'll be that. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching the process of doing some powder coating. Maybe it'll even inspire you to go get the parts and pieces, do it for yourself. It's really simple and effective and worth the effort. Here's the finished product. You can see I got the pulley reassembled. All the clean hardware on there. Thanks again for watching. Catch you guys later.